Hey there guys, welcome back to the Crafty Concepts with Erin YouTube channel. Today we're going to create a layout with the Fresh Paint collection from Close to My Heart. This is a super fun, vibrant collection. We have these graffiti hearts and they're double-sided, so the other side is like this, just colorful splotches of paint and then like dripping paint. Here we have spray paint look in Nectarine. The other side is this blue dripping paint. And then a checkerboard, which reminds me of like the cool Vans shoes or like race flags or something like that. This was 12 by 12. I already did cut it down because I've created another layout. The other side is my favorite. There's another sheet of the graffiti hearts, and then there's a full sheet of that one. I just love this for my boys. I wish I could get several sheets of this one alone. It's so cool. There is a coordinating 12 by 12 sticker sheet as well with some title options on there, and then just some really cool stickers for layering. These are like 12 by 12 border stickers here, and then some word stickers, word phrases down on the bottom, which I absolutely love. But super fun. And let's go ahead and get this cleared up and we'll get started. Typically, I build my layouts on a sheet of white cardstock, but today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually use some pattern paper. I have these two photos of my youngest son just tearing it up on this little mini bike that was a Christmas present from, us along with his grandma, and he just was having so much fun. There's a lot of blues in the photo. The bike is red with black, of course, and so I'm going to pull those colors out for my inspiration. My plan is to use these three pattern papers because I just think they go so well, not only the colors, but just the whole vibe of the paper pack is going to work beautifully. And then I'm going to introduce a little bit of color by using just hints of this paper to introduce those, the reds and the bolder colors into this layout to liven it up a bit. So what I was kind of imagining in my mind is using this dripping paint piece for my background. And I don't want to cover my little dog Murphy in the photo there, so I'm going to switch those to that orientation. I want them kind of twisted for more of a just fun, playful look. And then maybe just a border of this on the side here. I also have several stamps I'm super excited about. My kids are mountain bikers. They've got dirt bikes. I mean, this is perfect. So it's called BMX Life, and that's from the May-June catalog. And then everything shaded in this kind of grayish blue color has a coordinating thin cut option. But I'm thinking like the gears with the awesome Born to Ride, all of those will work for, dirt bikes as well as mountain biking. And then this one is the Fresh Paint scrapbooking that goes along with the Fresh Paint collection. And there's just some really fun, cool sentiments on here. So rad, live life, super epic, awesome, more dripping paint, and then some stars and hearts that just go along beautifully with this paper pack. This one is called Where the Road Ends. And then we've got the dirt bike, some quads, Jeeps, just kind of off-road fun, tire tracks, pedal to the metal, and Where the Road Ends, the fun begins. So these are all going to work well for this collection. I hope to work these in as my embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. I'm thinking, let's see, maybe just about 1.5 inches. Let me go cut this down. I'll be right back. So I ended up cutting 2 inches. That's 2 by 12. And then I'm thinking of just whenever you have a busy pattern paper like this, I like to just scale it down. Just use a little piece of it, and then it's not so, bold and in your face. So I'm thinking of just doing a tiny little pop of color, like a little border here, and that's going to introduce all of those colors and just brighten up the layout. So I'll trim off just a tiny piece, but I don't know if I want, there's different colors, so you might want to turn it and kind of see which colors you're wanting to work with. I think that looks good. Okay, let me go cut that down. So I cut a 1/2 inch strip, but only about 1/4 of it's going to be showing. So let me put some tape runner on the back of this really quick, and then using the grid lines on my Versamat, I can get that lined up. So I'm going to center it in the 2, just match it up on the bottom there, and perfect. And then I can go ahead and get this adhered as well. So I like to layer my papers. Like you see, I cut 1/2 inch and only 1/4 inch is showing. I just prefer that rather than butting them up next to each other. So this is from the Noteworthy paper pack from the core catalog. On one side it's white and on the other side it has this kind of antiqued, worn, weathered look. And there's a whole pack of this. I love it. There's lined notebook paper, ledger paper, graph paper, bullet journal style paper, really cool stuff. Again, that's from the core catalog. So I'm going to use that to map my photos and then bring in a little bit of this checkerboard pattern here. The lined notebook paper ended up being 8.5 by 8, and then I cut the checkerboard slightly larger, and I'm just going to have it off-centered, so it's just peeking out on the edges. So I printed my photos with a white border because I wasn't sure what I was doing in the beginning, but that really just fades into the background. So I'm going to add a little bit of ink, black ink, to the edge of the photo, and you can see that makes a difference. It's subtle, but it still helps that, give it some contrast from the background. And then I'll go ahead and do these 2 layers as well. I'm a big inker. If you guys have been watching my videos for a while, I kind of do that on every paper. It just feels undone without it. But that's just me. So let me get these lined back up. And through the magic of film editing, I did gut those papers out. I just I place my papers, lift up the corner, make a little pencil mark as a guide, and then take it over to my trimmer and cut that piece out and save it for another project. I want to add some stamped images, so I'm going to take this little dirt bike guy and then the star from the Fresh Paint collection. And they have all the stamps come with this little piece of foam. So if you don't have a second Versamat to stamp on, you can use the foam. So I'm going to use Candy Apple and then Archival Black. I'll ink up my star here in the Candy Apple Red. If you guys have not seen Jama's video, she just did one featuring this same Fresh Paint collection and used this star, and she did a really cool rock and roll technique. So if you haven't seen that, you're going to want to check it out. I'm going to ink this little guy up in Archival Black. I like to use the Archival Black because it's like the deepest, richest black, and I just love the intensity of it. Let me go ahead and line these dies up, and I like to use the Post-it removable labeling tape, and I just tear a piece off and that holds the die in place, and I reuse the little bits of tape over and over and over again until they lose their stickiness. So let me clear these out of the way, and I was thinking of creating a little cluster in the lower left-hand corner here. I'm thinking the bike needs something to help him just kind of pop a little bit more. I dug through my stash. I did cut this circle here. This is one of the stitch circles, and then I have all these gears. I know someone's going to ask, so unfortunately I do not remember where I got these gears from. I was cleaning out just like a miscellaneous drawer in my craft room and came across a bunch of old die cuts, and these were in there. I know they were cut on a Cricut, but like a long time ago. So unfortunately I don't remember where those were from. So I'm pulling some images off the sticker sheet, and there's these wings, and I just think they're so cool. I know I really want to incorporate them. So that looks kind of neat down there, but we also have this space in the upper right-hand corner. So I'm going to place those temporarily and just try a few different things. Let's see. Now that's not quite right. I still need to add a title. And we need some more red. So I have a piece of Candy Apple Red cardstock here, and I'm going to cut one of the tag shapes. And this is the Tags and Tabs thin cut set from the core catalog. And let me just see if that's going to work. I think that's going to look good. On the BMX Life stamp, there's several title options. So there's one on here that says Born to Ride, and oh yes, that's going to fit on this tag perfectly. So let me go ahead and get that ready to stamp. And I really want it to pop on the darker cardstock. So I'm thinking to use White Daisy, and I'm going to heat emboss this. So I'm just going to rub my little anti-static powder pouch over the top of the cardstock here. And whenever I'm heat embossing, if I have the coordinating color of pigment ink, I prefer to use that rather than the Versamark, especially with the white. I just think it gives you a more, just a brighter, better finished result when you use the pigment ink. This is the Ranger Superfine Detail White Embossing Powder. Let me just tap off the excess there. That looks good. And I'm going to hold it with my tweezers just so I don't burn myself. And then this is the Ranger Heat Tool. So I always like to start on the back because it doesn't disturb any of the powder. And then I'll move back and forth. Plus, it looks better for you guys on camera. You can see what's going on. I think the embossed result just really pops against the darker red background. You wouldn't get that look by just stamping it in ink alone. So I'm going to distress this a little bit. Close to My Heart cardstock has that white core, so it's perfect for sanding and a lot of other really cool distressing techniques as well. So this is just a nail file here, and I'm just roughing up the edges, and then we'll put that right back behind the photo there. Where the Road Ends also has this cute little roadside stamp. So I'm grabbing a piece of lemonade cardstock, and that is one of the featured colors in this paper pack. And you can see it there in the tips of the wings. So I'm going to stamp this cute little road sign right on the lemonade in black, and then I can get that cut out with the coordinating die. Yes, it would be easy to cut that, but the die gives it nice rounded corners and gives it more of a finished look. There's also these acrylic shapes that coordinate with the Fresh Paint collection, and there's arrows and skateboards and hearts and smiley faces. How cute is that? Love the little smiley face in the bluebird color. I think I want to put him up there, and then look, flames in the red. That's going to be perfect. I'm just perusing through the pile to see if there's any additional shapes I'd like to add. And oh, there's an ant on the lower left-hand corner. Do you see it? Here's your tip for the day. Don't smash bugs on your layout because they leave a mess, and then you got to figure out how to cover it. Not good. I'm going to use this Bluebird ink and add this cool dripping paint stamp underneath my photo just to create that visual line that my photos are sitting on. So I always recommend practice on a piece of scratch paper before you stamp on your layout. I'm going to slide this little piece of foam underneath the area where I'll be stamping. Let me move that out of the way, and then just practice. Make sure it's picking up the ink, make sure it's stamping clear, and you can always, make sure you're happy with the color. But I am going to do this in second generation stamping, so I'll stamp it off once, and then without re-inking, I'll slide my photo up and stamp that directly onto the layout. I think that stamp is really cool. I can see doing some like scrapbooking pages too, or anything to do with like art and craftiness where that dripping paint stamp would be really fun to add. These photos were taken back in 2018, and this is my youngest son. The mini bike was a Christmas gift from grandma, and my husband and I, we all kind of pitched in together, and this was like their main Christmas gift for both the boys, and they had so much fun. We live in a rural area with lots of trails and dirt roads. They would just ride this thing to the neighbor's house. They'd ride it up to go fishing. We live near a pond, and they just had a blast. I mean, that thing got a lot of miles in a short amount of time. You can see I'm adhering the acrylic shapes down with glue dots. That works really, really well. You can also use liquid glass. Either way works great. So I'm just checking the sticker sheet. I want to add, this little word sticker. It says Young and Free, and it's in the green. And then I'm going to add a green little star to this cluster up here. And then I do need to finish off my tags. So I cut a piece of white ribbon. I'll just run that through the hole, and I'm going to fold it over on itself and then tie it with some twine. I have a whole bunch of different colors of twine. I think I picked it up in like a big bulk pack at Michael's like a long time ago, but the twine is always nice to have. And I'm not the world's best bow tire, so I just give myself more twine to work with, and that makes it a lot easier. So I still need to add my journaling, and what I decided to do is print that out. I actually run cardstock through my printer, and then I just kind of trim down to where I need it. If you guys haven't caught my journaling tips video, I kind of walk you through exactly how I do this process, and I'll leave that linked in the description box below. But I'm just using my little guillotine trimmer here to cut those into strips, and then I can arrange them on my layout. So I thought at first that I might put them up here, and that it just kind of talks about, who it was. I'll just read it to you. It says, Clayton, just look at you living it up. You were so excited about this Coleman mini bike you and your brother received from Grandma and us for Christmas. Endless hours of riding fun. And then I put the date that the photos were taken. You can see I decided to move that to the lower right-hand corner. It just kind of looked off balance in the upper left for some reason. I like this positioning better. So I am just adhering them with some liquid glue, and that allows me to slide them into place and make sure everything is nice and straight. I do end up adding just a few more of the acrylic stars around the layout, which you'll see here in a moment, but that completes the journaling. And I love the way this turned out. I think that those wings with the tag for the title is just a really cool element. And how fun is that little flame there? If you're looking for more inspiration for boy layouts, you're going to want to check out this Scrapbooking the Boys playlist right here. Everything I used to create today's project is listed in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a big thumbs up and I'll catch you next time. Bye!